As Sheev Palpatine rose to power on the political side, his master Darth Plagueis continued his research into immortality. Both Sith would become aware of a young slave boy from the planet Tatooine named Anakin Skywalker. Thanks to information he found out from Dooku, Palpatine learned that, according to the boy's mother, he had no father, and at first Palpatine wondered if he could be a clone. However, this idea was shot down by Dooku, who informed Palpatine that Qui-Gon thought Anakin to be a result of the Force and the possible chosen one spoken of by an ancient prophecy, destined to bring balance to the Force. Palpatine relayed the information to Plagueis as the two began wondering if it was possible that the Force struck back at them nearly a decade earlier by creating this boy, as they themselves saturated the galaxy with the dark side of the Force in their attempts to manipulate midichlorians. Plagueis knew that he had to see this boy. To make this a simple and well-explained video, I'm going to read pieces straight from the Legends novel Darth Plagueis by James Luceno, which states, ignoring the reactions of apprehensive residents and wary security personnel, Plagueis hastened along a plush corridor in 500 Republica toward Palpatine's suite of crimson rooms. He had planned to be at the Senate building to hear Amidala's call for a vote of no confidence in Valorum, which would strike the first death knell for the Republic. At the last moment, however, Palpatine had contacted him to recount a conversation he had with Dooku. The fact that Qui-Gon Jinn had identified Maul as a Sith was to be expected, but Dooku's news about a human boy at the center of a vergence of the Force had come as a shock. More, Qui-Gon saw the boy as the Jedi's prophesied chosen one. He had to see this Anakin Skywalker for himself, had to sense him for himself. He had to know if the Force had struck back again 9 years earlier by conceiving a human being to restore balance to the galaxy. Plagueis came to a halt at the entry to Palpatine's apartment. Eventually, one of Queen Amidala's near-identical handmaidens came to the door, a vision in a dark, cowled robe, her eyes fixed on the breath mask. "I'm sorry, sir," she said. "Senator Palpatine is not here." "I know," Plagueis said. "I'm here to speak with a guest of the Senator, a young human boy." Her eyes remained glued on the mask. "I'm not permitted." The mask motioned swiftly with its left hand, compelling her to answer him. "You have my permission to speak." "I have your permission," she said in a distracted voice. "Now where is the boy?" "Anakin, you mean?" "Anakin, yes," he said in a rush. "He's the one. Fetch him, now." "You just missed him, sir," the handmaiden said. Plagueis peered past her into Palpatine's suite. "Missed him?" He straightened in anger. "Where is he?" "Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn came to collect him, sir. I suspect that you can find him at the Jedi Temple." Plagueis fell back a step, his thoughts reeling. There was still a chance that the Council would decide that Anakin was too old to be trained as a Jedi. That way, assuming he was returned to Tatooine. But if not, if Qui-Gon managed to sway the Council Masters. Plagueis ran a hand over his forehead. "Are we undone?" he thought. "Have you undone us?" Skipping ahead in the book a little, Plagueis, refusing to give up, continues his search for answers regarding this possible chosen one, and the book continues. It was late in the evening when Plagueis made his way onto a public observatory that provided a vantage on the proprietary arabesque of a landing platform on which Queen Amidala's royal starship basked in the ambient light. With a cowl of his hood raised, he moved to one of the stationary macro-binocular posts and pressed his eyes to the cushioned eye grips. Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and the boy had arrived at the platform in a Jedi ship. Amidala, her handmaidens and guards, and a loose-limbed Gungan in an open-topped hemispherical air taxi. Just then, the latter group was ascending the starship's boarding ramp, but Qui-Gon and the round-faced desert urchin had stopped short of the ship to speak about something. "What?" Plagueis asked himself. What topic has summoned such an earnest look to Qui-Gon's face and such confused urgency in the boy? Lifting his face from the macro-binoculars, he stretched out with the Force and fell victim to an assault of perplexing images, ferocious battles in deep space, the clashing of lightsabers, partitions of radiant light, a black-helmeted cyborg rising from a table. By the time his gaze had returned to the platform, Qui-Gon and the boy had disappeared. Trying desperately to make some sense of the images granted him by the Force, he stood motionless, watching the starship lift from the platform and climb into the night. He fought to repress the truth. The boy would change the course of history. Unless Maul had to kill Qui-Gon to keep the boy from being trained. Qui-Gon was the key to everything. I think this is a really cool chapter of the book, and it's pretty cool to know that Plagueis had a vision of Vader rising from the table moments after being put into the black suit of armor. We of course know what happens next. Maul would in fact kill Qui-Gon, leaving Obi-Wan to train Anakin, who would eventually fall to the dark side, before being redeemed over 2 decades later. And I do have a video of how Palpatine killed his master Plagueis shortly after the events you just heard about. If you'd like to check that one out, I'll link it down below. Hope you enjoyed this one. As always, thank you very much for watching, and may the Force be with you.